I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to go ahead and turn it off because my internet has been unstable this morning. So I think that I may have better luck. So I'm still behind the black screen. Okay, so welcome. Thank you for joining us today. This is one of our pre-proposal calls for the partnership between community organizations and iTHRIV research institutions funding opportunity. What I'm going to do first is just go through the funding opportunity briefly, and then some of my colleagues here are going to talk a little bit about what the application looks like, talk a little bit about if you were to get funded, what the iRV process would look like, just to kind of inform you about what the process would look like over the course of the grant. So we are funding 2 projects up to $40,000 each. This funding opportunity is specifically for the principal investigators from iTHRIV organization. So that's the University of Virginia, Virginia Tech, Carilion Clinic, and Inova, in partnership with community organizations that are located in the regions that are served by iTHRIV. So Northern, Central, Southwest, and South Side of Virginia. So that's who the co-PIs are, principal investigators. So the aim of this funding opportunity is really to help reduce health disparities, improve health outcomes among communities that have traditionally experienced poorer health outcomes, or historically been excluded from opportunities to engage in research. We've listed some, potential examples here for you. It's certainly not an all-inclusive list. Your communities better than we do. So, whatever health disparity you have observed or seen. We do ask that you have a direct health outcome, and that can be a variety of different things, or that you address a social determinant of health, understanding that those directly relate to poor health outcomes. We've given you a list at the bottom of the proposal, I believe it may be included as an attachment, Chris, what we mean by community engaged research and what we mean by social determinants of health. So that should be, I think, attached to the application form. We do, and this is important, want to make sure that your project needs are identified through a community health prioritization process. So if you're familiar with, Carilion does their community health assessments. A lot of the health departments do health assessments. It could be, a MAP project, CHA-CHIP. We want to make sure that the need that you're identifying, whether it be a health outcome or a social determinant of health, is a need that has been identified by the community. So please tell us in your application what community health prioritization process you are using. Excuse me. We also want to make sure that there's the potential for fostering sustainable collaborative research partnerships. We understand that some partnerships may be well established, and we understand that some partnerships may be new, and that's okay. But we want you to show us your potential to continue working together and to have these collaborative research projects. We are happy to see new research projects that are based on community needs. We're also okay with you adapting an existing community-focused research project, maybe focusing on a new population, or adding a specific aim to a currently funded project. What we don't want is for you to submit a project that may be dependent on a submitted but not yet funded grant, or looking for an existing project that's seeking supplemental funding. We want to see this new research question being developed. Importantly, we want to make sure that in your budget, at least 40% of the funding goes to the community organization. This is really important for us because we want the community organization to be an active partner and an active player in the relationship. Not just, this is a researcher's project, we have your token community partner. We really want that community partner to be an active partner in the research. So we've already talked about eligibility a little bit, that the community organization needs to be serving one of the areas served by iTHRIV, that the main researcher needs to be from UVA, Virginia Tech, Carilion, or Inova. Make sure that your institution, your researcher is eligible to serve as a PI. If you have received a grant from us in the past 2 years, you are not eligible to receive funding. If you've received one before 2 years ago, that's okay. You are re-eligible. But just in the past 2 years, we're trying to give different people an opportunity to participate. And then we have a list here that I'm not going to fully go over, very specifically a list of community organizations' eligibility requirements to receive federal funding. This is now our 4th time doing this funding opportunity. And we have learned a lot about working with community partners. And so we tried to be as clear as possible to really explain to the community organization, here's everything that you're going to need in order to receive federal funding. I'm just going to pause because I see a question. What if we were the community partner within the last 2 years? Then you are not eligible. Thank you for that clarifying question. Applicants, both community and research institutions who have not received funding under this mechanism in the past 2 years are eligible. So yeah, Beth, unfortunately, since you were, I think you were 2020 or 2019. And that would be 2 years ago. So that would make you not eligible. Let me double check my math and talk to you offline. But you know, again, we want to make sure that we have a variety of community partners and a variety of researchers that are going to participate. So for those researchers or those community partners on this call that are interested in participating, but may not have that partnership set up, let us know. We may know of a researcher who's interested in your topic. We may know of a community partner who's interested in doing a research project, who has identified a problem through a community prioritization process. Reach out to me. My email is included in the request for proposals. We can try to see if we can make that work. Like I said at the beginning, it's okay if you have a partnership that's not yet created, that is just being created. If it's a good fit and if you think it'll be sustainable, it's definitely worth exploring. And then just want to go over the submission requirements. So Chris is going to talk about the application form in a second here. Sorry. This is what happens when COVID symptoms linger for much longer than they should. So just want to talk about the research plan. It's a 5-page limit, so hopefully this will not take you too long, but we have a description in here. So we want a short abstract, and then we're looking for background and significance. So what health outcome or social determinant of health are you focusing on? Why does it matter to the community? What child chip type tool did you use, etc. We want to hear about the partners and the previous related work. So like I said, you may never have worked together, but tell us what you've done in the community. If you have worked together, tell us how you've worked together. We want to make sure that each institution has the capacity to do that on the ground work. And then tell us about your approach. What are you going to do? How are you going to do it? How are you going to evaluate it, etc. And then finally, tell us about the impact. So why is this research going to matter? How is it going to benefit communities? How are you going to disseminate the results, etc. And then, you know, kind of standard references, budget. We do want one budget for each of the organizations. So the iTHRIV institution budget and the community partner budget. And then a biosketch or resume. So we understand some community partners may not have an NIH style biosketch. That's totally okay. Just submit a resume. That's fine. And then we just want a letter from each of the partners, just showing their commitment to each other, basically. Just, you know, a short letter saying, here's what my organization is going to do. Here's what resources I'm providing. from each of the partners. It's, it's almost like a contract with each other at the beginning, like, hey, here's what here's what my organization is providing. And then some short budget guidelines, and Kayla may go into this a little bit more, but funds need to be spent within 12 months. And we understand that 12 months is very quick. So once you get that funding, you have about 3 or 4 months to start doing the IRB process, but that does take time, and Medard will talk about that. But it's a pretty quick turnaround, and we are not allowing for cost extension. So as you're designing your project, make sure that that 12-month timeline is going to be realistic. And then there's guidelines in here on the type of allowable costs, et cetera. So you can make sure that you review those. And then there are regulatory approvals. This is NIH funded research. You will need to go through the IRB process. You will need to go through the NIH NCATS process, which Medard will talk about. And we have budgeted as much time as possible from the time of you finding out that you have from the announcement until the start, but it will take time to get that done. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to, I think we're going to do a Q&A at the end. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to let Chris talk a little bit about the application form. I see a message here from Kathleen. Yeah, you were not the PI on it, so you're fine. That was Jamie Zollner's project. So you're good, yeah. So Chris, I'm going to hand it over to you for talking a little bit about the application form.
Hi, everybody. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen and just show you very quickly what it looks like. I'm sure everybody is familiar with REDCap. If you're not, it's just a survey tool. And so we set something up. So when you're ready and you have all your paperwork together, put it into one document and then sit down and fill this out. So this is what you need to have. You need to, first, it's information about the community organization. So name, location. We want to know the financial manager because, the money thing is a little complicated. Of course, the main person in charge, the PI, and we need to gather demographic information for that person. And then, we just want to know who else from your company is going to be on the project. Same exact questions for the Research Institute PI. We want to know their grants administrator, same reason, and their demographic information. So if you don't know those about each other, or whoever is putting this in, make sure you get that information from your partner, okay? Sometimes looks are not reality, so just check in with them. And then we have some things that we pulled out that we just want to get answers for, so we can, as we're reviewing them, it's really clear. So what is the research question? What's the target health-related area or the social determinant of health focus area? What was the community prioritization process that you use? Which under-resourced community will be impacted, and where will the project take place? So those are questions that are mentioned in the main RFP, and you may well have answered them in the main 5-page question. Answer them again here. It helps us a great deal. And so then that's really it. It's pretty quick. You just have to have that information ready so you can type it in. And then this is everything that you're going to need, and you're going to upload it. So all this stuff, it's usually 30 or 45 pages, I would say, on average, and then upload it into one file. And then you basically just agree with these things, is that each of you is available to be a PI. That makes more significance and importance on the researcher, iTHRIV Institute side. and then everything is accurate, right, and truthful, and you mark that, and then you push submit. So it's not difficult. It does, I would say, take a little preparation to know all the information that you need to type in, and then to have all this information ready. But once you have all that, it should be very quick. Do you have any questions about that? Okay. So the next thing I just quickly would like to show you, let me pull this over to the screen. This is our interim report template, just to give you an idea of things that we're looking for and things that we're going to ask you. This has basically the same exact information that we've asked you in the REDCap survey, your abstract, what you've accomplished. We want to know about your challenges. We realize that this is maybe something that's out of your comfort zone, maybe a first time collaboration. So what have you encountered, and how have you overcome those challenges? We want to know who you've enrolled, and the NIH is requiring us to gather that information too. So these are the demographic items that we will ask about. Community engagement, obviously we're going to ask about publications, presentations, and abstracts. I have noticed that there are more presentations in these projects that have been funded, and the publications take a little long. So if you were to get funded, yes, we're going to ask for this, about a month after you're done, and we will touch base with you 6 months, a year afterwards, and just keep kind of checking in to see how you're doing and see if it did spur more funding or an abstract somewhere or a publication, that sort of thing. Are there any other questions about that? Okay, so you know how to write it, you know how to upload it, you know it's going to be asked of you with regard to reporting if you get funded. All right, I can't remember who's next on the list to talk.
I've got Medard up next to just chat a little bit about the IRB process, should you get funded. Oh, you're muted, Medard.
Okay, let me share my screen. All right, so I'd like to provide some visual. I think it is more intuitive. Oops. I don't know why I just ended up pulling onto the other screen instead of this one. But I think that will serve the purpose. So I think the important thing is the message is keep tab of your projects and note the timeline. So the way to visualize the importance of getting your IRB approval is because of the fact that we're not going to allow no cost extension. So if you think about it, what we have is the RFP release in late June, and anyway, now having the second information session. The application for this particular RFP will end the end of the month. The anticipated notice of award will be late October, early November. That will be the time when either you reach out to me, or if I don't hear from you within a few days, I will reach out to you as a research team, because your research fundings period start the 1st of February. And what you really want, ideally, is illustrated on the next slide, which is that you have IRB approval as well as NIH approval by the 1st of February, so that you have full 12 months to execute your research project. Because, so again, this is just the same diagram, just time shifted a little bit. So now we have November here, so which is the anticipated notice of award that the two research teams will that are selected to be funded. And so NIH approval process, that is because this is NIH money, so they have a specific requirement of NIH has to approve it. But before they approve it, first you have to have IRB approval. That is the reason why we want research teams to reach out to me, or I will reach out to the research team in November, because you only have 3 months to get IRB approval if you want your approval to be obtained the 1st of February. And this is not as much time as the start. Usually that responsibility fall into the academic partners rather than community partners. But nonetheless, you as a partner in this research project will impact it the same nonetheless if there's any delay in the approval process. So I am not going to write the proposal for you. I'm not going to obtain the IRB approval for you. I mean, I can walk you through the process and to highlight some of the things that you want to make sure that you don't you don't include those. You want to include the correct information from the start so that the IRB approval process is as quick as possible. And even after you obtain IRB approval, the NIH still requires their own approval. And as to how long this NIH approval process takes, it really depends on the study. I would just say that this has to happen after IRB approval. It is sequentially. It is not something that you can do one at the same time. So you really have to get the IRB approval and then you proceed to obtain NIH approval. And only after that, then can you use the money for conducting human subject research activities. That is a mouthful, and that is a regulatory terms that NIH uses. The longer it takes for the research team to obtain the IRB approval and then subsequently the NIH approval, the less time you have to conduct your research study. So you really want to do this step as early as possible. And the last but not the least, I just want to emphasize that every step of the way there's administrative burden. We noted that in the RFP, but somehow it may slip the attention of the researchers because there's so much work already done just to get to the point of IRB approval. And then when researchers realize that, oh, there are more documents yet need to be prepared for the NIH submission process, they may feel blindsided. So I just want to emphasize that, yes, there is an administrative burden for it. We will try to reduce it by providing you with templates and review your documents before sending to the NIH. Nonetheless, the research team needs to be aware of this. So with that, I am going to stop sharing my screen.
Thank you, Medard. And then Kayla is the finance guru behind everything, and she's going to talk a little bit about what the contract process looks like.
Yes. So if you are awarded, depending on which institution, so there are 2 pieces to this funding, and we ask you to submit 2 separate budgets, one for the academic institution and then one for the community institution. And so that is because we will enter into 2 agreements at that time. Then that agreement will be between the University of Virginia and each individual institution. And so say it's just to give you a quick example, if it's UVA, the process is a lot faster. So you have the budget, but you don't have to enter into a subcontract with us. But if it's Carilion and Nova or Virginia Tech, there is a subcontract process. And if you are familiar with research at all, sometimes that takes a little bit of time to get everything figured out. But the good news is that we don't have to do like any special consortium because we have active subcontracts with each of the institutions. So it goes a little faster than it normally would if it was just a fresh, brand new agreement. For our community partners, this has been for the past few years a little more challenging, but I think we've hopefully worked out a lot of the challenges that have been associated with this. And so we will start working with you. So upon receipt of your application, we will forward you a document that in great detail lays out all of the information that we're going to need from you in order to execute your subcontract. And this information is from your legal address of your institution, who is your business official that can sign on behalf of your institution, who's your fiscal administrator, who do you have a conflict of interest policy? Like, there are a lot of boxes that we have to check as an institution, as the University of Virginia, to be able to give another entity federal funding. You have to have internal controls that enable you to manage your funding in a financial system. We ideally you would have an annual audit that you would then send to us. If not, we can do that, but that process is a lot longer. So there are just things that we so we'll send you that document as soon as you submit your application, so that you can review those. You can review all of the requirements and documents that we're going to request from you, so that you have plenty of time to ask us questions and plenty of time to get everything together. We are not, and this is because, in part, so you have 12 months to complete your project. That date starts on February 1st of 2023. However, we cannot issue your funds until we receive our funding. So we cannot process any paperwork officially until we receive our funding, which is on or around February 1st of 2023. So that means that you may not have an active executed subcontract with us until the end of February, middle of March is probably more likely. So that may cause a little bit of anxiety. However, you are able, so these are reimbursable subcontracts, meaning that you spend money and then you invoice us and we reimburse you for your expenses. So that means that so you can go ahead and start spending money as of February 1st. Of course, you have to wait until you have your NCATS approval to be able to spend funding that is towards your actual project, your human subjects like research part, but you can spend funding for other things. I'm so sorry. Apparently they don't care that I'm on a meeting. So I need you to go upstairs, please. I'm on a meeting. Thank you so much. So excuse me, sorry. So we will work with you though as quickly as possible to make sure that at the day, as soon as we get that new account number, we can submit your paperwork and we can start processing your subaward. Are there any questions? Sorry, I spoke a lot. There are a lot of things. Did I leave anything out, Chris or Sophie?
I don't think so. And then this is certainly not meant to scare or overwhelm anyone. It's more meant to just to show you that there will be some paperwork involved should you receive funding, and just to be fully transparent as to what expectations are.
Absolutely.
I do want to open it up to questions about the RFP as well. So we have 30 minutes right now, which can be used however you want. Go ahead and ask any of us questions about anything that we've said, or if we haven't said something, a question that you may have, something that we may have forgotten. This is your time to just ask us questions. And if you think of a question after, feel free to reach out to me. My email is listed in the RFP, and I will happily give you an answer.
I have a question for the community budget. When we're putting in personnel for that, obviously we're going to have our community co-I in there and other folks. with the way that we're setting up what we're going to be doing, we might have multiple individuals with the same title doing some of the work, but we're not necessarily going, I want to say like kind of our usual, like it's going to be 10% of an individual's time. Can we kind of generalize like for the position? Or do we need to say that we would be having like 8 members of their transportation services doing this at this amount? Or could we just say we're budgeting this much for transportation people? Like, I just don't know how specific it needs to be for the community grant. I know what I would do on my end if this was ours, but I don't know what I'm going to do with that.
Sorry, I'm thinking.
I'm totally letting Kayla take this one.
Yeah, so I think what you could potentially do is say you plan, and you could explain this more in your justification, is really just say like transportation, maybe just say you'll have this many folks working from transportation, and this is how much like the total dollar amount you intend to pay. You could even potentially just, I would say like on the budget, you could just we can work it out. So I would just put it in there as maybe one line, say how much the total dollar amount, and then in your justification, explain, we anticipate each one will be doing this many hours. This is their hourly rate. Like, give us more of a description, so that the reviewers and us like actually kind of like can get a good idea of what's actually going on. But I don't want to make it so that you have to list out 10 individual folks. Like, that's just not, I think we can accomplish this. And especially if you're not 100% for sure who each of these individuals are going to be.
Yeah, that's what I was hoping you were going to say.
I don't want to make this really difficult for you. That's not fun.
Because I don't know if they're going to execute it by having one person just do all the work for all the buses, or let each person do the work on their own buses. So
okay,
at this stage. So okay, thank you very much.
Yeah, of course.
I don't know if everyone saw, but Genevieve has said if people have questions about statistics or study design, that they can reach out to her with questions. Thank you.
I have another question.
Yeah, go for it.
About the IRB process, and this is just me thinking as I'm writing the grant. I know UVA has our 2 choices for IRB. Will this have to go through HSR, or could it also go through SBS?
So the short answer is that it depends on your study.
Okay.
So and it is real. You want to reach out to so clearly if you are 100% sure that which IRB to go to, you wouldn't have that question. The thing is, you'll probably think, oh, it can be one way or another.
I know which one this should go to. I just wasn't sure if the mechanism would push us to HSR, just because of the mechanism. That makes me happier. I don't like going to HSR.
So I just want to say is that just make sure that that it is the right IRB to submit to. The last thing you want is you spend all the time to prepare the documents for one of the 2 IRBs, and then when you send it to the staff, and then the staff think, no, you should send to the other.
Yeah, thank you.
Also, I just, though Sophie is certainly an expert on this, I wanted to let everybody from Northern Virginia, and I know there are a couple people from Fairfax County and Inova here, that Lee Garanello is iTHRIV's community point of contact with Inova and iTHRIV. So you can reach out to Lee if you have any particularly Northern Virginia kind of partnership questions. So anyway, I just wanted to give her a shout out.
Thank you, Chris. I was eating, so apologies for having my camera off.
Any other questions from anyone?
I hope if you have any questions, you'll reach out in the next 20 days to allow us to help you. We really are a great team and we support our collaborators as well as we can, and you will not walk this walk alone. So I am excited to read what you guys are working on, and don't let what Bedard and Kayla said dissuade you. Okay? All right.
No, you can email me or call me. Like my email is on there, is on the RFP. Please, please, please email me if you have any budget questions about the contracting process. Like, do not hesitate. Like you can email me more than once, multiple times a day. Once you get my phone number, call me. Yes, we are here to help. So I'm
Yeah.
here to help.
And same here from a programmatic perspective. Thank you all for attending today. Thank you for your time. And again, do not hesitate to reach out. Bye.